Good morning, ladies and gents. How the very devil are you? Join me on this fresh and crispy morning at 6:30 because me and the delicious Italian mistress have a date with the Aprilia garage because the Testarossa Temptress is off to get her first service, the 1,000-kilometre service, and more importantly perhaps, a chance for a different Aprilia dealership to redeem the name, in my opinion, of the face of Aprilia in Germany. Now, I had actually hoped for there to be a few more videos with this bike before the first service because obviously I've been smashing in the kilometres. I've done 949 now. The bike had 350 when I got it, so that's 600 kilometres in just under a week. I actually even set out to make a whole day-long video the other day with a petrol can strapped onto the back seat of the bike with the intention of running the petrol tank completely dry to find out exactly how much range you can get from the tank in total. The problem is, the B-line stepped in, sabotaged everything, and I spent 40 minutes going around in circles because for some reason it wouldn't skip a waypoint. I proceeded to hurl a tirade of unending potty-mouth vitriol at the little device. I came out for a relaxing afternoon with my new bike, and you are spoiling it because of your petty jealousy, you little And as a result, as soon as I got home, the B-line was put up for sale, and the money was ploughed into this new little gadget, the Zumo XT from Garmin, which I managed to get for 40% off in the lowest outlet here in Hamburg. Great deal. So, back on Team Garmin. Hopefully this time it's going to go a bit better. But anyway, I've got an appointment of 8 o'clock. The spangly new gadget is telling me my arrival time is 8:01, so I'm going to get my hustle on through the traffic. See if I can make it in time. So, strap your flappy bits in. Let's go and see Herr Aprilia. It's like some kind of conspiracy. Just because I'm on an Italian bike going to an Italian garage doesn't mean we need one of those little tiny Italian trucks in the front slowing everything down. For Napoli! I've been needing an unrestricted speed limit area. This place is so boring. Oh, 998 kilometres. 199. There it is, 1,000 kilometres. The little spanner symbols popped up, telling me that I need a service. Well, luckily Aprilia, I'm on the way to get one as we speak. And from everything I've read on the multiple forums, if you take your bike to the Aprilia garage for a service, before that light's come on, when you then later reach the distance that signifies that the spanner symbol should come on, it will come on, regardless of the fact that you've had a service already. So you have to wait until it comes on before you go and get it done. Otherwise they can't reset it before it's flashed up. Otherwise you're going to be looking at a piece of black tape over it to hide it, or another trip back to the garage to get it reset after the service. I would also say if you've had your bike serviced by an Aprilia garage and then you go home and the light comes on later, definitely, 100%, do not take no for an answer. Go back to the garage and get it reset for free. Remember, you are the customer. You're allowed to stamp your foot every now and again and get your money's worth. Seems like a lot of people are forgetting that nowadays. And as a result, customer service has gone to shit across the board as far as I'm concerned, which is why I'm really hoping that this Aprilia dealership today is going to redeem the brand for me. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out my test rant review of the Aprilia Tuareg. Oh god, 50-kilometre limits on open country roads. What is the world coming to? Oh, that's because there's a corner, obviously. Apparently northern Germans can't deal with corners. Need mummy to hold their hand while they go around them. It's such a frustrating region to ride in. Can't wait to get this Italian beast away and into the hills! This bike does make you feel maybe a little bit cheekily Italian. You do get much more of an urge to poke through the traffic with this thing. And it's also impossibly light on the handling front. I say impossibly in a good way. As in, infeasible, unbelievable, inconceivable! Anyway, that's me practically there. It should be just up here on the right. Moto Italia. Very apprehensive to see what happens because bearing in mind this bike was delivered to me by the people I bought it from, Limbecher and Limbecher. with not centralised handlebars. All the levers were pointing at the sky, the back wheel was completely crooked and still is a little bit, and the left grips were far too far into the right. This gap between the mirror and the grip there was actually on the left hand side. I've adjusted that myself, I've centred the bars myself, I've adjusted the wheel a little bit, but it's still, I think, slightly crooked. When I'm riding, the bars have to be to the right, so I also can't believe that in an hour and a half journey I've only managed to shave off 2 minutes from my arrival time. Oh, I've just ridden past it as well. I think we can also go the back way. That's what she said. Oh, there we go. Molto Italia. I'm not really sure where I need to go. Oh, look. That's what I had imagined at the front of the traffic today. Keep hold of your knickers. I'll be back in a second with an update. It's a very typically Italian looking garage, isn't it? Oh, there we go. The bike is serviced. The spanner light is off, and no, the spanner light is not something to warn me of idiots in front of me. And apparently I have a new software on my dash. 408. I think it was 406 before, so there we go. Right, let's get on and get home. Say overall, with Molto Italia here in Lübeck, I am simultaneously very impressed and a little bit disappointed. But a little bit disappointed for very superficial reasons. Disappointed because the first service just cost €260. That's pretty punchy. That's about twice as much as the first service cost on the CB1000R from Honda. Which also then means that obviously the next service, 10,000 kilometers, is going to cost roughly twice that. So apparently between €400 and €500. That is lumpy servicing for this Italian princess, I suppose. When your oil needs to be delivered in a Gucci bag, then it's going to cost a couple of bob more, isn't it? Simultaneously disappointed and impressed by the fact that the dude that just did the service told me that there were several nuts and bolts that were loose already after 1,000 kilometers, loose nuts and bolts. He said nothing particularly worrying. All the super important bits were stuck on properly, but things like the oil pan, the bash plate, foot pegs, several bits and bobs that worked themselves loose. So I'm impressed by the fact that he obviously went round the whole bike with tools and checked all of the nuts and bolts, but naturally disappointed that the bike came so loosely screwed together from the factory. Carry on with that theme. I am impressed by the fact that as I got back to pick up the bike at 10 o'clock, as he said it would be finished, he actually came riding back in from a test ride because he was taking my claims of the handlebars being wonky seriously, and he was just checking his adjustments because apparently the fork clamps were completely wonky. The forks were skewed totally on the bike. So again, that's how it's arrived from the factory. I mean, I understand the bike arrives in a box strapped to a pallet with the front wheel removed, so there's going to be shakes and shocks as it comes over on the ship or the truck or whatever, but it really ought to be, and this was confirmed by the mechanic just there, the bike really ought to be checked through properly for stuff like twisted forks, especially on a bike that's going to be a demo bike, but obviously they didn't do that. I feel a bit vindicated for him to back me up and say, yeah, the handlebars were definitely wonky, the forks were definitely twisted, and coupled with the fact that the back wheel was definitely wonky when I got it, hopefully that means my bike is now finally on the straight and narrow. But yeah, I'd have to say, I think so far that place there is worlds apart from the last place I've been to. He did, however, worry me a tiny bit when he asked, just before he gave me the keys back, why I didn't buy the bike from them. The obvious answer is because I got a much better deal somewhere else. Some impressive smoke rings, mate. Yeah, but then he said, when people do that, buy a bike somewhere else in the Schwarzwald or whatever was his example, and then come to him with a warranty problem, they pretty much always try and tell that person to F off back to where they bought the bike from. Because apparently, I read this somewhere else, and it's interesting to have it confirmed by an Aprilia mechanic. When they do warranty work, the example I read the other day was that Aprilia pays them €65 an hour, their hourly rate is €85 an hour, so they have to make that 20 up themselves. Whether that counts as them actually making a loss, I can't honestly say. I don't know what their profit margins are. Officially, they are required to carry out all warranty work. They can't send you somewhere else. If they're an official Aprilia dealer, they have to take the work on. Obviously, they can make it difficult for you by saying there's no appointments or whatever, but yeah, that's another story. But then he did tell me that apparently I've bought some credits by having the service there. If I have the next service there as well, even more credits. But yeah, hopefully I'm won't have to find out because hopefully I won't have any issues with warranty. I would have thought for 260 euros I'd have got my mirror tightened, because you can't have everything. But anyway, the bike is serviced, the oil is changed, the filter is fresh, nuts and bolts are all checked. I can now go over 6,000 RPM, so I think the only correct thing to do is to get it up there and unleash that beautiful, glorious induction honk. Come on, Garmin. Can I get a reroute? I don't think we need to do a U-turn, love. This is more like it. Why didn't the Garmin pick up this on the adventurous route? This is literally one village over from where I'm sending you. Don't panic about seeing the shift light flashing. I just haven't adjusted it from the 6,000 that it comes from the factory with. I wonder what's up there. A muddy dead end, that's what's up there. Well, it's worth a try. Right, back on track. Back to the controlled play. It's so good that these little gravelly bits on the side of the road here no longer scare me. You no longer scare me! Flying onto a T-junction does mine. Yeah, having the Butte uncorked, it definitely confirms to me that I am not going to have any issues with feeling like the bike is underpowered. It's got plenty of go, coupled with incredible fuel economy apparently. Currently rocking 56.8 miles per gallon, UK Imperial. It's all about the Empire, dear. They need to know who's in charge. And we'll do it by making fuel economy figures confusing. That's right, me and my Italian machine gunner in the town. Oh, the quick shifter is even more glorious at the upper edge of the ribs. Come to think of it, I can change that now. The shift light, let's have you at 8,000. I think that's a bit more reasonable. I don't need you flashing in my face every time I'm opening up the honk tube. Planning to turn the cruise control off, but it turns out one of the updates they've done is that it now works underneath 70 kilometers an hour, so that's a bonus. You can cruise control in 4th gear at 30 miles an hour. Marvellous. But unfortunately, the reason why I needed to switch it off is because we're back in town now. So there we go, that is the next chapter of this Aprilia ownership adventure, drawn to a close. I think ultimately, I'm pretty happy. I was kind of dreading going to the dealership a little bit because I was ready to be horribly disappointed, but they were friendly, they were nice, they looked after the bike. I think I would happily go back again. I would really prefer not to leave quite so many pieces of folding paper behind next time, but unfortunately it seems like that, with ownership of an Italian bike, is the price of entry. But thankfully I am loving the ride so far so much that I don't think it's going to hurt for too long. I'll just have to start smashing all of my change into the piggy bank and hoping it adds together before the next 10,000 Ks are up. Oh, 9, because one's already done. So next up for this bike, obviously I'm going to get the sat-nav fitted onto the sat-nav bar, which I'm happy to say was wobbling around like a prick in a shirt sleeve, but as part of the service he's actually tightened that up and it's completely solid now, so that's nice to see. That's going to involve plumbing in some power. I'm not quite sure yet how I'm going to do that. Possibly tapping into the USB socket, which is down there on the bottom left. I've also got an MRA X-screen spoiler thing on the way to stick on the top of the screen here, because I'll be honest, unfortunately I had hoped for better, but the screen is a bit of a disaster. As are, to be fair, most screens for people of my height. After that, I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do luggage-wise and then decide where I'm going to take the bike for its first adventure. So keep your eyes peeled and your ears pricked, and I'll let you know as soon as I know. And in the meantime, keep yourself out of trouble. Thanks very much for coming and joining me on this little journey down to the service, and I will see you in the next one. Ta-ra!